Brandis, Chicago City Council meets tomorrow for the first time this year, and its members still have yet to strike a deal on redrawing the city's ward maps. They're also contending with a controversial ordinance backed by Mayor Lori Lightfoot to go after street gangs' profits and assets. And the city's watchdog recently released 2 reports on a botched smokestack demolition and a wrongful police raid, even though the city is still without a permanent inspector general. And joining us to discuss all of these issues and more are Alderman Byron Sigcho-Lopez of the 25th Ward on the West Side, Alderman Jason Irvin of the West Side 28th Ward and who chairs the Black Caucus, Alderman Gilbert Villegas of the Northwest Side 36th Ward and who chairs the Latino Caucus, and Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor of the 20th Ward on the South Side. Welcome all of you back to Chicago tonight. Let's start with that controversial gang asset forfeiture ordinance that the mayor has pushed. Here's what she had to say about it yesterday.
If we go after the profit motive, we're going to reduce the incentive for the gangs. We're going to reduce their ability to buy illegal guns and use their profits to continue to further their business. We had, I think, a productive subject matter hearing on this issue on Friday, and I look forward to moving the ordinance forward for a vote and its passage so that we can then use this as another tool in our fight against gangs.
So this ordinance would empower the city to go after gang members' assets and find them. Alderman Irvin, are you in support of this?
Yes, I'm in support of this particular ordinance. This legislation and this authority already exists at the state level for the state's attorney to execute. However, it has not been executed by the state's attorney here locally in a while. Given the city the authority to also act when they feel it's necessary, I think it's in the best interest of the city and all of our concern.
Alderman Villegas, there were a group of attorneys that said that this is fraught with problems, namely it would target Black and brown communities disproportionately and result in potentially costly litigation for the city. Are these fair points?
I think anytime you get the ACLU and all these organizations together and agreeing on one issue, I think it does give us a pause. But what you're seeing is crime in the city of Chicago has been out of control. And we need to figure ways to provide the city with enough tools to address this issue. Is it a perfect piece of legislation? No. But I think that we'll be able to try to figure this out.
Alderman Sigcho-Lopez, what about you? Does this have a majority of council members in support of it?
Well, I hope not. I hope that we are looking for strategies that are based on evidence, based on what we know works. There's a number of holes in these ordinance, including empowering corporation counsel on making these decisions. There's a number of things that are not going to prevent more crime. We've seen the statistics are tragic and sad. We need to change directions. This nostalgia or going back to the Reagan years is not going to help us. We need to invest more in prevention. We need to invest more in addressing the root causes of violence. And certainly something Mayor Lightfoot has delayed for way too long. It's time to change our courses. And this is certainly, and I'm glad that the committee did not move forward with a vote. I think that signals that we do not have the vote. And I hope that our council looks for different strategies to prevent more crimes.
So it's delayed for now. Alderwoman Taylor, do you believe that this should be part of a strategy to bring the homicide rate down and crime overall down in the city by going after suspected gang members' assets?
No, this is a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. When you take care of people, they don't do illegal things. And so we have the money and the means to invest in people in our community. Why are we not investing in human infrastructure? People don't sell drugs and do illegal things if they can make a living wage, if they have safe places to be. And so we have not provided that at the city, but we said he want to blame the victim. And so this gets a no from me. And people vote on this. I actually vote against the people that we're fighting to help in the community. So we'll give basic income, but then turn around and say, let's lock you up for trying to live and survive. And so there has to be a balance. But this is not just the city hall problem. This is the county, the state. We all need to be working together to figure this out. And it needs to be evidence-based, not what you cooked up in your backyard or at a cookout. We actually have to use the data and the research.
Alderman Irvin, since you are in support of this, I want to ask you, the gang database has had problems. People wind up on this database, but they're not actually part of any gang. Couldn't that be a problem here with this gang asset forfeiture law?
It very well could be a problem, but I think the steps that are being done to recreate and clean up the database I believe will help move us in the right direction. And I want to just say this, I do agree with my colleagues, both for Alderman Cincho Lopez and Alderwoman Taylor, as it relates to doing more than one thing at one time. I think that we have to work toward creating better opportunities for people, but at the same time, we also have to deal with those who are on the wrong side of the law in the manner in which they need to be dealt with. And I do believe that we can do both at the same time. So I think we have to, look at both aspects and work from it at that standpoint.
And speaking of doing multiple things at the same time, Alderwoman Taylor, I'm sure you saw that Sun-Times report quoting top police brass saying the department has lost confidence in Police Superintendent David Brown. He's saying it's just a disgruntled few employees that don't want reform in the police department. Do you believe that he has lost faith of his top commanders?
How he came, it's the same thing with the mayor. They came in where there was chaos already created. I think he has to do a better job with working with the people in the community to ask what is the need is, but let's not act like this ain't 50, 60 years of disgrace. And they didn't need Superintendent Brown to make the police make them look bad. The actions that they do and don't do and their unwillingness to work with the community shows that.
And Alderman
this man inherited this.
Alderman Cincho Lopez, the mayor, is backing him. Should he keep his job as CPD superintendent?
Well, we've seen, unfortunately, the same culture, the lack of accountability, and the frustration, among within the members of the department, but citywide. We really need to focus on the civilian oversight that we passed last year. We need to make sure that we have accountability within each department in the city of Chicago. We continue to see that in the Chicago Police Department. The number of cases that continue to be coming for settlements, millionaire settlements, are an embarrassment to the city of Chicago and certainly have not make a safer city. So I certainly join the efforts for accountability and changes in the leadership because the level of crime, the level of tragedies in our community is just simply unacceptable.
Alderman Villegas, I want to switch gears to another topic. A couple of big Inspector General reports have been released recently, one of them concerning the botched police raid of the home of Anjanette Young and the mayor's, according to this report, botched response to it. The mayor will not release this full report. Should she do that, given that she campaigned on transparency?
Absolutely. I think the more that you're not transparent, it just fuels the fire of government trying to hide something. Look, this is something that didn't happen under her watch. She should just go ahead and bring out the report, whether it's the report on Anjanette Young, whether it's the report at the demolition site. I mean, anything that's transparent.
You're referring to Hilco in Little Village.
Well, we have to bring confidence to the residents of the city of Chicago, and there's nothing that is better than bringing light to something.
Speaking of bringing light, Alderman Irvin, this comes as the City Council still has not filled, and the mayor as well, they've not filled that role of Inspector General since Joe Ferguson stepped down in the fall. He gave ample time. Why is there no replacement yet, and why are we hearing anything about it?
You know what, that's not a question really for the council to answer. There's a process that's in place. That process needs to be followed so that we can have an Inspector General, and that process does not begin in council. So we need to make sure that the process is moving forward and that we get a new Inspector General in decent time.
Well, as I understand, the council does have a role. I mean, they select finalists, and then the mayor selects from that. Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor, is there any progress on filling that position?
Not that I've seen and not that I know of. There are a bunch of moving pieces to this. And so I don't want them to rush to just put anybody in the seat, because we've seen that hasn't been effective and it hasn't worked for the citizens that we're paid to represent. And so I would rather for them to take longer and do a thorough job than just pick anybody and then we have another mess.
There's been an interim William Marback in there for several months now. I want to move on to the remap. Alderman Cincho Lopez, it appears that the map supported by the Black Caucus and the Rules Committee has more signatories at this point. Can you just take us into the negotiations that are happening right now?
Well, certainly we see with with the different caucuses, the proposals that I have put forward. The Latino caucus has a proposal, the Black caucus and the Rules Committee have a proposal. And ultimately, what we want to make sure is that this represents the best interests of our constituents. We certainly hope that there's still room for a compromise, but I do think that it's important for the sake of our constituents to have more public meetings, more participation, that we need, of course, to make sure that this remap is taken seriously. So we hope that there's enough time for a compromise for fair representation, especially now when we see with great concern what's happening nationwide, the suppression of voting rights and the many issues. We hope here in the city of Chicago, we guarantee and we respect the census so that we have fair representation for both communities, for the Black community and also for the Latino community. And I hope that that's a priority. I hope that there's room for an agreement. Otherwise, we'll go to a referendum.
Alderman Villegas, you've led the charge on the Latino map, which, as I mentioned, at this point seems to have fewer signatories in City Council than the Black Caucus map. What's the end game here?
Well, I think what the end game, well, first of all, it's called the coalition map because we've been able to get some other folks besides just Latinos. But, you know, this Friday, there'll be a meeting of delegates from both caucuses to speak to try to figure out if there's an opportunity to get there. Look, we've been very consistent on making sure that we've been following the data, the Voting Rights Act, as well as listening to the residents of Chicago. And that's what we've done based on hearings. And so I hope that there's an opportunity to get there, but if not, ultimately there's the referendum.
And that would come in June, so still a few months to come to a deal on that. And we're going to have to leave it right there. Our thanks to Alderman Byron Sigjo Lopez, Jason Irvin, Gilbert Villegas, and Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor. Thanks so much.
Thank you.